My child, when life seems to pass in silence, when the only sounds around you are the echoes of worry and doubt, it is within that very stillness that something profound has already begun. You do not perceive it, for human eyes cannot reach the depths of what is unfolding in the spiritual realm. But I, the Eternal One, the Creator of all things, have laid the cornerstone of a divine work in your very life. From the moment you opened your heart, from the deepest places of your spirit, I have sent my angel to begin the unfolding of things far beyond your limited understanding. You do not realize that in the moment you bowed your head in weariness, heaven opened, the heavens began to move, and a decree was issued from the throne of grace. The scriptures tell of Daniel, who prayed and fasted for 3 weeks, seemingly unanswered. Yet the angel Gabriel told him, "From the first day you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. So it is with you. My beloved one, from the moment you lifted your eyes in the darkness and dared to believe I still hear you were heard, and not only heard, I moved. I did not wait for persuasion, nor did I need further proof. My love alone was enough for me to command action. My love for you is not limited by your history or by the missteps you have made. It is not based on your perfection, but rooted in mine. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before a word was on your tongue, I had written it in my book. What you are stepping into now is not chance, but the unfolding of a plan crafted with care from eternity past. And in that plan, you are an irreplaceable part. Every step, every dream, every failure and every victory is being woven together as testimony of my faithfulness. You do not see it, but each day of your life is measured with the precision only a loving father could offer. When you thought you were lost, I was guiding you quietly. When you believed yourself abandoned, I left small signs along the path to remind you that you are never forgotten. In the moments you felt you were walking through fog, unable to see ahead or remember behind, those were the very times I lifted your feet with the wings of mercy. You did not fall because you were strong, but because I held your hand, keeping you steady on steep roads you didn't know skirted the edge of the abyss. Your life is not a string of accidents. It is a sacred symphony, written by a master conductor. When you sighed in the night, I heard. When your heart was tangled by the unknown, I saw. When you looked into the future with tear-filled eyes and a heart flooded with fear, I was there, not distant, not silent, but beside you, whispering into your spirit words that only a soul in the deepest quiet could truly hear. My child, my love does not come as thunder crashing, but as the gentle breeze of morning. It does not always arrive with miracles that shake the earth, but reveals itself in the smallest things, a ray of light breaking through clouds, a tear wiped away, a promise whispered again in your thoughts when you nearly forgot. In every season you walk through, whether in abundance or in drought, I've never taken my eyes off you. The scriptures once recorded my words to Joshua, "Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." That was not merely a promise to a national leader, but an unchanging truth for every child chosen in my kingdom. You do not walk alone, even when you feel abandoned to the darkness. That is often when I am working most powerfully in the unseen realm. For light is not threatened by darkness, it shines all the more clearly in it. And you, My child, are the light I have placed in this world not to be hidden, not to fade, but to shine. Do not measure your worth by your situation. Do not let failure convince you that you are unloved. Do not let delay make you think I have abandoned my promise. When Abraham was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, he grew old without seeing a son, but he was counted righteous not because he saw immediate results, but because he trusted me despite the waiting. That is true faith not built on emotion, not shifting with seasons, not dissolving in trial. And I am calling you to that kind of faith, one not defined by what is seen, but by what I have spoken. For my word does not return void, it will accomplish all that I sent it to do. What you are going through today is the foundation for where I am leading you. The questions without answers, the fragments you think can never be mended, the dreams faded in memory, these are not the end. They are the prologue to a greater story. You are living in the midst of a sacred journey, and the greatest thing is not what you accomplish, but who you are becoming with every step. I care not only about your destination, but about teaching you to cherish the path, not because you are lacking, but because I desire you to grow strong enough to fully carry what I have prepared. A gift without growth becomes a burden, but growth before receiving makes the gift a lasting blessing. My beloved child, let go of the burden of limited understanding. Let me be the one who holds the lamp of truth as you walk. When you don't know what's next, trust me. When you are weary, come and rest in me. When you are confused, seek clarity in my word. For it is not your circumstances who define your reality. I not only see you, but I see everything surrounding you, not just the present, but also the future waiting to unfold. And as you learn to trust me day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment, you will see nothing is wasted. No season is useless, and no trial comes without a reward. My child, if you only look with physical eyes, you'll think what surrounds you is chaos, random and meaningless. But if you could see with the light of the soul, you'd be astonished to realize that every event, every person, every delay is part of a grand design for which I am the architect. You may feel forgotten, but you are in fact being hidden in the most secure place of my hand, just as Moses was raised in the palace, prepared for his mission to deliver my people. Those seemingly empty years were the most crucial of his life. And you too are in a hidden season, not to be abandoned, but to be protected and prepared for what eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and minds have not imagined. Sometimes I allow emptiness not to take away, but to make room for more. I once asked the widow of Zarephath to use her last bit of flourishly, then did she witness unending provision. I allowed the jars at the wedding in Cana to be empty only, to fill them with the finest wine. It is when you feel you have nothing left to give that I reveal my faithfulness and power. Do not fear when familiar things fade. Do not panic when old foundations crumble. Do not grieve when those you trusted walk away. For in those very moments, you are stepping into new ground where your dependence is no longer on people, but on me alone. You will know that you do not live by what is temporary, but by every word that proceeds from my mouth. The love I have for you does not shift with the seasons. It does not fade with time. It does not waver with your behavior. It is unconditional, limitless, and immeasurable. When you are strong, I love you. When you are weak, He draw nearer. When you obey, I rejoice. When you fall, I seek you out. This love is the foundation on which everything else in your life stands. And when your faith is rooted in this love, you will no longer fear the winds or the gathering clouds. You will not be shaken by the judgment of others, by betrayal, or by temporary defeat. For you will know, I do not abandon what I have begun, and I have never begun anything I did not intend to complete. There are moments, I know, when you long for immediate answers. You want to understand the reason, to see the path ahead, to control the outcome. But my child, you were not created to carry the weight of infinite knowledge. You were created to walk in relationship with Maya, relationship of trust, where peace is not found in knowing everything, but in knowing me, just as Abraham obeyed and went, not knowing where he was going. You too are invited to walk in the light of revelation, one step at a time. You don't need to see the whole picture. You just need to hold tightly to my hand, and I will lead you through every turn. Remember this, there is no delay in me that is without meaning. Every moment of waiting is not a sign of abandonment, but an opportunity for the roots of your faith to grow deeper. When the sower plants a seed, he does not stand watching the soil every hour, expecting to see it sprout immediately. He trusts the process unfolding in the dark. Likewise, your prayers, your quiet acts of obedience, the tears you shed in silence, they are being sown into the soil of your soul, and the harvest will come, right on time, not a second late. I am not in a hurry like you are, but I am never late. I arrive at the appointed time, and when that moment comes, you will know that the waiting was worth it. My child, prepare your heart. Remove the cloak of fear and put on the garment of hope. Let my word be a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. Know that everything you are walking through is not merely to change your circumstances, but to transform you. I am not only working miracles around you, I long to work miracles within you. I am calling you to become someone you never thought you could be, someone who lives in true freedom, in fullness of joy, and in vibrant communion with me, no longer bound by past wounds, no longer defined by words that once tore you down, no longer imprisoned by fear. I am opening doors. I am breaking chains. I am calling you out of the darkness into my marvelous light. It is time for you to understand, you are no longer who you once were, the one who lived for the approval of others, who measured your worth by their judgments, who bowed under the weight of rejection. You are no longer the one who had to pretend to be strong while hiding pain. No longer the one who wandered in fog, teetering between right and wrong. You have been called out of darkness into the light, not the fleeting light of worldly success, but the eternal light that comes from Mitha, one who does not change with time, who is not swayed by human emotions. When I called you, it was not because you were good enough, but because my love is deep enough. I did not choose you for your strength, but to show my glory through a vessel that surrenders. Rise up from the place where pain has held you too long. Don't build a home where you were only meant to pass through. Some seasons are for learning, not for dwelling. Some wounds are for healing, not for holding on to as symbols of failure. I do not see you through the lens of your past. I look at you with the eyes of the one who knows your future, who still chooses you, still calls you, still believes in you. Do not let doubt steal the chance to step into the new season I have prepared. Leave behind the garments of sorrow and put on the robe of anointed joy. Like Joseph, you are no longer a victim of your circumstances, but one who carries heaven's blueprint in your heart. And just like Joseph, there will come a time when others will see that your old scars are the very proof of my faithfulness. People may not understand you. They may dismiss your journey, underestimate your worth, or turn away when you need them most. But I have never turned away. When others are silent, I speak. When all retreat, I draw near. When no one stands with you, I stand before you. And you must know, it is in the moments when the world forgets you that heaven remembers you most. In the darkness, faith is planted. In the solitude, the roots of intimacy with me grow deep. In disappointment, you learn to fix your gaze on me, not on outcomes. For I do not teach you to live by satisfaction. I teach you to live by trust. And trust, once refined, becomes pure gold, more precious than anything this world could offer. When you lift your eyes in a season of uncertainty, I do not scold you for your weakness. I do not condemn you for your doubts. I draw near, lift the weight, and give you new eyes that can see beyond your situation, past the present, into eternity. I do not just want you to survive. I want you to be renewed. I want you to emerge with a new vision of yourself, of the world, and of me. I want you to understand that every part of your life, every tear, every laugh, every unspoken cry is being recorded in my book. Nothing is meaningless when placed in my hands. Nothing is wasted when offered to me. Not a single day goes by without my footprints beside yours. Whether you notice them or not, my beloved child, do not believe that my presence is only there when miracles happen, when doors open, when sickness is healed. No, my presence remains when doors close, when prayers seem unanswered, when silence surrounds you. In that silence, I am engraving your name on the palm of my hand. In that waiting, I am preparing something far beyond your imagination. And in the absence of visible evidence, your faith is growing. Do not shrink back. Do not lose heart. Do not let temporary darkness dim the light within you. Each day you remain faithful. You offer me a quiet act of worship. Every time you choose faith over doubt, you write another chapter in the glorious story I am weaving through your life. There will be moments when it feels like everything you believed in is falling apart. Promises that once brought hope may feel distant. Paths that once seemed clear may be shrouded in the fog of uncertainty. And you will wonder, where are you in all of this? But my child, it is in those moments that I am not just beside you, I am within you, sustaining every breath, steadying every heartbeat. I do not withdraw when the storm comes. In fact, it is in the storm that I speak with the greatest authority, just as I once commanded the wind and waves. Peace, be still, and everything grew calm. I can do the same in your situation. But sometimes, instead of calming the storm, I calm your heart in the middle of it, because the peace within you is the greater miracle than any change around you. I have not promised you a path without trials. I have promised to be your refuge through every trial. As David once sang in the Psalms, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. That promise wasn't only for long ago, it is living breath for your present. You don't need to know the full plan. You only need to know the one who wrote it. And Ethi Authordo not fail. What I have destined will not be delayed by your mistakes or by others' rejections. No one can stop what I have prepared for you, except your own unbelief. So, my child, do not let delay cause you to retreat. Do not let closed doors make you think I've abandoned the plan. Sometimes, I close a door not to deny, but to redirect or protect you from what is not yet time. Let your faith not be limited by what your eyes see. When Naaman, a powerful commander, came to the prophet Elisha seeking healing, he expected a grand display, a complex ritual, but the prophet told him simply to bathe 7 times in the Jordan River, a simple, seemingly insignificant act. At first, he was offended, but when he humbled himself and obeyed, the miracle happened. In the same way, I may lead you down humble, ordinary path zones the world may not regard as great, but in those very places, faith is tested, and obedience gives birth to wonders. Don't seek grand experiences. Seek my presence. For where I am, there is life. Where I am, there is light. And where I am, nothing happens without eternal purpose. You may think, my presence only dwells where everything is whole. But no, I dwell in broken places. I am present in the ashes. I inhabit hearts that are shattered, yet humble. When you feel you have nothing left to give, that is when I can do everything. When you sit on the edge of despair, I place my hand on your shoulder and say, let's begin again. There are no limits in me. No past is too dark for me to use to write a new chapter. No path too twisted for me to make straight. You may have been called many names, rejected, abandoned, overlooked, but I call you by another name, beloved, redeemed, chosen for holy purposes. Walk each day with the assurance that you are held in the arms of the one who never changes. When emotions surge and your heart trembles, let my word be your anchor. Choose to believe that all things work together for the good of those who love me, even when you don't yet understand what good looks like. It might take the form of correction, pruning, or waiting, but everything serves one singular purpose: to make you more like me, more glorious with each passing day, step by step. And one day, you will look back and see, not a single tear was wasted. Not a single prayer fell to the ground. Not one small act of obedience failed to bear fruit. My child, you once thought that peace could only come after understanding, that you needed to know every detail before you could move forward. But spiritual life is not built upon the sight of the mind, it is grounded in trust in the one who never breaks his promises. When you strive to grasp every outcome and analyze every possibility, you unknowingly push yourself further from rest. True rest does not come from control, but from surrendering control to me. You were not created to carry the weight of omniscience. Your responsibility is not to decode every circumstance, but to keep your heart tender and faithful, even in what has yet to be revealed. That kind of trust pleases me more than any plan crafted in human strength. I did not call you to an easy road. I called you to a road where I am present, and it is my presence that turns the wilderness into a place of abundance. Like Israel in the desert, you will come to see that you do not need grand things to be sustained. Just manna from heaven, just water from the rock, just a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire to guide you. In seasons where I lead you through the desert, it is not punishment, it is for clarity, to distinguish what is true, what is lasting, what is worth holding on to. The wilderness will not consume you if you learn to draw life from me. The desert will not pull you backward if you understand that it is the very place where I teach you to live, not by sight, but by every word that proceeds from my mouth. Do not mistake my silence for absence. Often, silence is the space I create for you to hear your own heart more clearly and then to hear mine. When all the noise fades, your soul can begin to discern what comes from me, what comes from fear, and what stems from old familiarity. I do not want you chasing after things that are already dead. Some doors I close not because you are unworthy, but because they no longer fit the person you are becoming. I am leading you into something new, and the new often comes through surrender. Just as Elijah was called out of the cave to the place I appointed, he had to leave the familiar behind. In the same way, you cannot step into a new season while still clinging to what I have asked you to release. You may wonder why those you love cannot journey with you into the next chapter. But, my child, not everyone is called to every part of your journey. Some are a passing shade, others a resting place for a lesson, and a few are companions to the very end. Be thankful for every connection, but also be willing to let go when I call. Letting go is not loss, it is making room for what is timely, right, and destined. As Abraham had to leave his homeland to enter a new land, so must you step out of comfort to see clearly what I have prepared. Obedience often comes with separation from what is familiar in order to draw nearer to what is divine. I know you are tired. I know there are days you want to stop, to give up, to return to the old, simply because it feels more predictable. But remember, you are no longer who you once were. You have been changed, not by striving harder, but because I have touched you. Once a soul has tasted my presence, nothing else can satisfy. So even when the world calls you back, even when old memories try to pull you in, do not look back. Ahead of you, I have laid green pastures, still waters, and encounters that will transform your life. You cannot carry new life in old wineskins. Let me give you a new vessel, a renewed mind, a healed heart, a restored soul. Beloved child, keep walking, even if your steps are small, trembling, and soaked in tears. Just walk with me. Every step of obedience is an act of worship. Every decision to let go of what is not of me is a declaration that you trust me above all else. And in those quiet, unseen steps, you are shaking the heavens. Angels are watching. Darkness is retreating. For a child who obeys is a terror to hell. You do not need applause. You need heavenly affirmation. And I, the one who sees all hidden things, have seen, have remembered, and will reward you openly. My dear one, it is time to look at your life not through the lens of failure or loss, but through the lens of divine preservation. For if not for that preserving hand, you would not be sitting here reading these words. I now whisper into your heart. How many times did the darkness almost swallow you? How many nights did you weep in silence, thinking no one saw, but I saw? I was there, not loud or showy, but ever watching, overflowing with mercy. I held you in the quiet. I shielded your soul from the blows your enemy intended to strike. What seemed like the end was actually the beginning of something new. You may not see it yet, but everything you've endured was not to break you, but to birth something deeper within you, a spiritual depth that cannot be formed by easy blessings, but only through refining fire. Just as gold is purified by flame, just as a gemstone must be cut to reflect the light, so is your soul being shaped to reflect my glory. Do not despise the hidden years. Do not overlook the unseen days. It is in those very days that you are being built. It is in the quiet that strength takes root. Do not compare your journey to anyone else's. Each path is uniquely designed, with different twists, peaks, and valleys. Comparison breeds either jealousy or insecurity, neither of which come from me. I do not use a universal measure to define spiritual maturity. I do not count your success by achievements, nor do I note outward fame. I look at the motive, the faithfulness, and every small step you take when no one is cheering. Like the widow who gave 2 copper coins at the temple and was praised by Krishna for the amount, but for the sacrifice from her heart, I too see what you offer in secret, and it is no less precious. Remember Jeremiah, the young prophet called in a rebellious age. He didn't perform mighty miracles like Elijah or Elisha, but he had one thing: unwavering perseverance in a difficult calling. He was beaten, imprisoned, mocked, yet he never stopped proclaiming my words. And even when no one listened, even when results were unseen, I called him faithful. That is what I seek in you, not perfection, but faithfulness, not visible outcomes, but a resolve that is not swayed by applause or rejection. When you choose to walk with me, you step into a kingdom that does not operate by the world's standards. In this world, value is measured by output, popularity, and visible success. But in my kingdom, value is measured by the depth of love, steadfastness in trial, and the ability to trust when nothing remains but my word. So if you find yourself in a season where everything around you seems silent, where no one sees, you are not being punished. You are being elevated in my eyes. This is the place where your roots grow deep, so that when the winds come, you will not be uprooted. Pause for a moment. Breathe deeply. Feel my presence. You do not need to chase what has not yet come. You only need to stand still in faith, knowing that I am at work. Stillness in me is not stagnation, it is the utmost trust that I am moving. Even when nothing appears to change, I am building your future, not just through miracles, but through daily obedience. I am removing the temporary to establish the eternal. I am preparing connections, doors, and seasons that, when the time comes, you will step into note with surprise or fear. But as one fully prepared, my beloved child, I have placed within you a fire that does not come from man, though you may have tried to extinguish it out of fear, out of pain, or out of a sense of unworthy. That flame still remains. It has never gone out. And now, I am breathing it back to life, not to burn you, but to illuminate you, not to terrify you, but to make you a light in the midst of darkness. Believe this, nothing you have gone through has been wasted. It is all leading you to the place I've destined you to stand steadfast, courageous, and saturated in my presence. My child, it is time for you to realize that some battles in your life did not come to weaken you, but to awaken the latent power I placed inside you long before you knew how to name it. These past days were not random. The dark seasons were not misfortunes. They were part of a process where I turn wounds into testimonies and disappointment into the very material that shapes perseverance. There are cycles you've called curses, but in my eyes, they are opportunities for you to learn how to break chains, not by striving, But through surrender, you have fallen before. But you rose again, not because you were strong enough, but because I implanted within your heart a life force that does not easily fade. You have wept in silence, but those tears were not in vain. They were streams watering the seeds of hope, sown in faith. On the nights you lay awake, surrounded by darkness, I came not to perform loud miracles, but to sit beside you, to whisper, I am still here. Not because you prayed the perfect prayer, but because I am your father, and I cannot ignore the pain of my child. Our relationship is not based on performance, but on love, and nothing can sever that bond, not circumstances, not failures, not rejection from others. Remember Jonah, who tried to flee from his divine calling out of fear, out of misunderstanding, out of a refusal to show mercy to those he disliked, and when he sank to the depths of the sea, swallowed by a great fish, seemingly lost forever, it was there, in the belly of what he thought was a grave, that he began to pray. That hidden place became his platform for learning obedience. Your life is not so different. There may have been turns that made you think you'd gone completely off course, but I never lost track of you. I am the one who can turn every detour into a highway of glory if you are willing to return. If you don't let shame blur your vision, don't let the judgment of others make you think I judge you the same way. Some may look at your present and assign value based on what they see, but I see hidden potential. I see what is yet to be revealed. I see dormant power. I know what is coming, not just what is. That's why I keep calling you forward. No matter how many times you've failed, no matter how often you've turned away, my call is not silenced by your mistakes. It only waits for a heart willing to be soft again. Like the prodigal son in the parable, just turn around, and I will run to you. I won't keep my distance. Won't interrogate. Won't shame. I will embrace you and restore the identity that has always belonged to you. At times, you have been the last to believe in yourself. When others have left, when encouragement has run dry, when all that's left inside you is a sigh, too heavy to voice, I still believe in you. Not out of blind optimism, but because I know you better than you know yourself. I know you will rise. I know you will learn to overcome. I know you will not live forever in pain. And because I know this, I keep investing in you. Keep speaking my word over you. Keep arranging every detail to bring you back to the place I've appointed. You are not a project I will abandon. In my hands, you are a work being completed, and what I have begun, I will bring to completion on the appointed day. The restoration you are seeking will not come from the outside in. It will rise from within, from the revelation that you do not need to do more to be loved, that you no longer have to prove your worth, that you are free to exhale without fear of judgment. That is the deepest healing, not when your circumstances change, but when your heart is set free. And when that happens, you will no longer live as someone begging for approval, but as a child who knows they belong. Peace will no longer be a distant idea, but a present reality in each moment. Because where I am, there is freedom. And as you walk in that freedom, the world around you will begin to change too. My beloved, when I look at you, I do not see a shattered soul in need of rescue. I see a mighty vessel being formed to carry out great purposes. Everything you have walked through, from joy to heartbreak, from loss to healing, is weaving together the threads of a tapestry that even heaven marvels at. I do not need you to be perfect by the world's definition. I need you to be faithful. I need you to lift your eyes to me even when nothing makes sense. Because it is that faithfulness in uncertainty that builds a foundation stronger than any other. This faith is not a fleeting emotion. It is a deliberate choice, that though you do not yet see, you still believe, though you have not yet received. You still walk forward, though you do not yet understand. You still surrender. This is the kind of faith that allowed Habakkuk, a prophet in an age of injustice and confusion, to declare, though the fig tree does not blossom, and there be no fruit on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. This is the faith I want to sow, in you a faith not dependent on seasons or outcomes, but rooted in a living relationship between you and me, a faith that not only sustains you, but becomes a pillar for those around you who are falling. I am building within you a foundation that cannot be shaken. Everything you once perceived as failure in your past is now becoming the very stones that pave the road ahead. Every tear, every endurance, every time you chose forgiveness when you had every right to be angry, none of it is forgotten. These are becoming your spiritual voice in the unseen realm. Every quiet act of obedience, like whispered prayers in the dark, is being gathered like incense before my throne. And one day, when the appointed time comes, my presence will flood your life so powerfully that nothing will be able to hinder it. Those who once doubted will witness the bloom of what I planted in you unfolding in glory. My child, do not think that perseverance is in vain. It is the evidence of maturity. It is the sign that you are no longer merely a seeker of miracles, but a bearer of my nature. Miracles can change circumstances, but it is my presence in you that changes destinies. I don't just want to give you results, I want to give you depth. Depth to discern truth amidst a sea of deception. Depth to love, even when that love is not returned. Depth to keep walking, even when no one walks beside you. You will no longer live off echoes, but from the living spring that flows from within. And that spring will never run dry, because it flows from me. Do not fear the repetition of trials. They are not punishment, but confirmation. I allow familiar circumstances not to crush you, but to reveal that you have changed. What once made you fall no longer holds power over you. What once confused you has now become a firm lesson. What once brought you to tears now stands as proof of growth. Each cycle is not a trap, it is an elevation. You are being brought to a new level. And as with all advancement, there must be a test. But do not be afraid, for I am both your examiner and your trainer. I would not test you if I knew you were not already equipped to overcome. Believe me when I say the days ahead will not be like those you've known. Not because everything around you will change overnight, but because you will have changed within. You will see the world with new eyes. The things that once overwhelmed you will no longer shake you. The voices that once weighed down your mind will shrink into silence. The burdens that once paralyzed you will pass like vapor. For now, you will know who I am, and in knowing me, you will no longer question your own worth. You will walk with the awareness that you are not just redeemed, you are also sent, not only healed, but anointed to bring healing to others. And my child, I did not choose you to do many things. I chose you to be near me. Every work will flow from intimacy. Fruitfulness will be the result of abiding. I did not call you to exhaustion through mission, but to renewal through my presence. Keep walking, day by day, step by step, with the confidence that I am working. And know this, I am never late. I never abandon what I begin. And I never measure you by the standards you use to measure yourself. I look at the heart, and your heart, even with its scars from time, is the place where I long to dwell. Guard it well, for it is more precious to me than all the treasures of this world. My beloved child, it is time for you to know me not only as your healer, but as the one who acts with supreme authority over all creation. Nothing in heaven or on earth can stop me when I have purposed to do something on your behalf. I am not just the one who comforts you in the night, I am also the one who brings the dawn. I do not only wipe away tears, I make the desert bloom. You have known me as your refuge, but now you will know me as the warrior who fights for you. In the moments when you feel weakest, I am moving most powerfully. When you bow in despair, I am declaring deliverance from my throne. I do not come to pity you. I come to lift you up and restore the crown you thought was lost. My precious one, you have lived as though survival was your only purpose. But I did not create you for resignation. I created you to walk in authority, not the authority of the flesh, but the authority born of my indwelling presence. When you understand who you are in me, you will no longer fear what's happening around you. You will no longer be crushed by circumstance, because you will begin to speak life into those very situations. Just as Jesus spoke to the storm, "Peace, be still." I have given you power to speak to the winds of your life. You were not created to be a victim. You were chosen to carry truth, to bring light into darkness, to rebuild what has been torn down. Now, I am not just calling you to walk, I am equipping you. I am arming you with weapons not of this world. I am placing in your hand words of life. I am putting in your mouth declarations that break chains. I am planting in your mind revelations beyond human understanding, not so you may boast, but so you may serve, not to build a kingdom for yourself, but to become an instrument in a kingdom that cannot be shaken. I have not only rescued you from the enemy's grip, I am empowering you to enter the battlefield and claim your inheritance. Just as Joshua crossed the dry Jordan into the promised land not as a beggar, but as one appointed, you too must rise and receive. Enough of the years spent shrinking back. Enough of the times you let fear speak louder than faith. Enough of thinking yourself unworthy of the good things I long to give. Your worth does not come from you, comes from the one who shed his blood for you. That blood has cleansed you, redeemed you, and restored all that seemed lost. And if that is true, then there is no reason for you to live like a stranger at the table of grace I've prepared. Take your place. Receive not because of merit, but because of love. Open your hands, no longer trembling, no longer hesitant, no longer asking the world for permission to accept what I have already given. You are not stepping into an unknown land. You are stepping into a territory already ordained by heaven. What I am about to open to you does not come from striving, but from surrender. It is not the hurried steps, but the steady, faithful ones that have prepared the way for glory. I am not looking for your talent. I am looking for a tender heart. I did not choose you because you were exceptional, but because you said yes when everything was still unclear. And for that reason, I will do wonders beyond anything you've ever asked or imagined. Others will look at you and ask, "Who did this in you?" And you will be able to say, "It was the Lord God. He chose me when I couldn't even choose myself." N14. My child, begin to live as one who has been called. Walk with the posture of someone entrusted with the weight of a kingdom. Speak to fear and say, "You no longer have legal ground here." Declare life over places once sentenced to death. Rebuild what seemed impossible. Pray as one who believes that prayer shakes the heavens and the earth. Worship, not because you feel something, but because you know I am worthy. Step forward, not for comfort, but because love compels you. You no longer live for yourself. You have been chosen to reflect my glory. And once you stand in that position, all of heaven begins to move with your every step. My child, the silence of the past was never abandonment. It was a time of training hidden, unseen, known only to you and me, in the shadows of misunderstanding, in the sighs between postponed dreams. I carved your soul like a skilled craftsman shaping a gem with precise hands. Those silent years were not wasted. They were the season of deepest sowing. A tree does not take root under the shining sun, but in the cover of darkness. It was in that darkness that you learned what light could not teach, the lesson of silent obedience, of faithfulness without visible results, of love that is not swayed by emotion. Now, I no longer keep you in the place of safety. I am pushing you into the battlefield not to harm you, but so you might realize the weapons already placed in your hands. This is no longer the season of hiding. It is the time of being sent. I have clothed you with the armor of light, given you the sword of the living word and the shield of faith. The enemy will try to make you forget this. He will remind you of your weaknesses, failures, and the days you fell. But remember, victory does not belong to those who have never fallen, but to those who rise, dust themselves off, and keep walking. And you are that person bearing the marks of many battles, yet standing firm like an oak planted by eternal streams. In the unseen realm, a battle rages every time you pray. Each word spoken in faith does not vanish into thin air. It pierces the heavens like a sharpened arrow. When you ask, angels are set in motion. When you declare, darkness is pushed back. When you praise in pain, the enemy trembles. He cannot comprehend a soul that still worships when everything appears to fall apart. That is the kind of faith that opens the heavens. That is the faith of one who knows they do not fight alone, one who understands that invisible armies await the command of the very word you release. Remember Job, who lost everything, yet declared, I know my Redeemer lives. That cry has echoed through generations, becoming the pinnacle of unshakable trust. You were not born merely to survive. You were born to claim spiritual territory. Every place your foot touches, if walked in obedience, becomes land restored. The environments where you dwell are not just spaces to live or work. They are sacred ground where my presence is released through you. Others may speak about me, but you were chosen to carry me into the scene, not through loud speech, but through the quiet authority of one who knows where they come from and what they carry. Your breath, aligned with me, becomes wind that clears the fog. Your eyes, filled with light, can spark hope in the discouraged. Your steps, even gentle, proclaim to the darkness, this land is no longer unclaimed. You once thought you were not trained enough, but I have trained you through every pain. I taught you to discern truth through every deception. I shaped your patience through every door that slammed shut. I formed compassion in you not through theory, but through shared suffering. And now, as you step forward, you are not a warrior clad in polished armor, but one whose soul has been forged in fire, not easily shaken, not easily misled, not easily discouraged, because you know I have walked with you in every season, and I will not abandon you on mountaintops or in valleys. You may ask, what must I do? I say, stand still and listen for heavenly strategy. Every spiritual battle has its design. At times I will call you to speak, and at others, I will teach you to stay silent. Sometimes I lead you to advance, other times to wait. What matters is not the action itself, but the timing. Just as Gideon needed only 300 men and the sound of trumpets to rout an army, and Jehoshaphat sent worshippers ahead of soldiers, while enemies destroyed themselves. The power of spiritual warfare does not lie in numbers or human strategy, but in simple obedience and absolute trust in my word. And now, you are ready, not because you know all the answers, but because you know the one who holds the future. Go no in your own strength, but with the conviction of one entrusted with a holy charge. Live anew with caution, but with a heart wide open to love, to forgive, to rebuild what has been broken. You are no longer running from the call, you are running toward it. And as you enter this new season, my promises will begin to unfold, not all at once, but layer by layer, as dawn light breaks through the morning mist. My child, it is time I open your eyes to see what your soul once only sensed. This is no longer a time of concealment, it is a time of revelation. The world is shaking, not from chaos, but because I am moving. The heavens are opening, ancient gates are cracking, and I am sending forth my flame-bearer souls like yours who have endured pain, passed through fire, and are now anointed to manifest my presence in a turbulent age. You are not just one who survived the storm, you carry the thunder of the throne. The fire you bear is not from emotion, but from deep communion with the Eternal One. You are a keeper of the flame, a gatekeeper. You are one who stands in the Gapan intercessor for your generation. Just as Ezekiel was set as a watchman over the city, I too am placing you on the line between darkness and light. When you speak, heaven hears. When you kneel, the earth shifts. When you cry out, the heavens record. Not because you are perfect, but because you are called. Not because you have all the answers, but because you have surrendered to the voice from the holy place. The fire you carry is not for comfort, it is for consecration. It will burn away the counterfeit, expose what is false, and melt the ice from long hardened hearts. You will find yourself entering places long abandoned. And when you speak, my breath will resurrect what was once thought dead. You will walk through barren lands, and my presence in you will release streams in the desert. You won't need to strive for recognition, for I myself will make it known whom you belong to. What I do through you will not carry the marks of flesh, but the seal of undeniable power. I will put my words in your mouth. And just as I said to Jeremiah, see, I have put my words in your mouth. Today I appoint you over nations and kingdoms to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. So speak boldly. Do not fear the eyes of man, for you do not represent them. You represent me. Light the torch once flickering in your hand. Do not let the waiting make you believe the fire has gone out. It never went out. It only awaited the wind of my spirit hand. That wind is coming. Just like the day of Pentecost, when a room full of those who waited suddenly heard the sound of rushing wind and saw tongues of fire descend, so too is that wind coming upon you, not to stir emotion, but to release power, not to remain within the church walls, but to send you into the streets, where those who've never heard of life will finally hear. The dry lands will become fields. The hardened hearts will begin to break not by your logic, but by the fire you carry. And know this, you do not carry the flame for yourself alone. You are a fire starter for others. Just as young David brought bread and wheat to the front lines, only to become the one who took down Goliath, not because he came to fight, but because he carried the fire of genuine godliness, so will you enter situations where no one expects you to have a voice. And it is in that very unexpectedness that you will speak life. The weary will lean on your back to stand again. The fallen in spirit will find hope in your eyes, not because you are the source, but because you carry the source, the light of the world, the giver of living water, the one who makes a way in the wilderness. My child, now is the time for courage to rise within you, not a courage born of flesh, but one that comes from knowing you are sent. Courage does not require all the answers. It only requires the confirmation of the Holy Spirit. When you stand with that Spirit, no gate of hell will prevail against you, for you do not walk alone. I go before you as a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day. I am the one who makes the path clear, who breaks the enemy's arm, who parts the sea and draws water from the rock. All you need to do is believe and step. I will take care of everything else. Bring that fire into your workplace, into your home, into every room you walk into. Let my presence through you be the living fragrance that causes others to wonder, what is different about this place because of them? Keep that flame burning through the night, amidst a lost generation. You are the fire starter, the gatekeeper, the voice crying out in the wilderness. And I, the one who speaks to you, will fulfill everything I have promised. Beloved, a new season is drawing near. Not just a historical shift, but a profound spiritual awakening that heaven and earth are both witnessing. The time I appointed for you is no longer a distant hope. It is knocking at your door like dawn after a long night. Every seed you've sown in silence, with tears, with surrender, with choosing forgiveness over retaliation, prayer over complaint, is now beginning to bloom. I have watched your every step on dry ground. And now I say to you, the harvest is ripe. This is not a vague promise for some far-off future. It is a definitive word for your present moment. Your season has come. My child, this is the season when the words I once whispered into your heart in the dark will begin to resound in broad daylight. The dreams once too big to speak aloud, only scribbled in your journal, will now be revealed before others. But hear this warning: do not let success overshadow intimacy. The goal of the blessing is not for you to marvel at outcomes, but to draw you deeper into communion with the source of it all. Remember, a tree only bears fruit while it remains connected to its root. Separation from me, even the slightest, will begin to dry up the stream of life. So when the harvest comes, bow before you reach to gather. Others may be astonished by the sudden breakthrough upon you. They may ask, "Why now? Why you?" And you may feel the urge to explain. But I tell you, you do not need to defend my choice. Don't waste your strength justifying what is beyond earthly understanding. Instead, let your life become a living testament to my faithfulness. Let each action, every decision, each wise step you take be your answer. For what comes from me, I, myself, will defend. What I build, no force can destroy. And what belongs to you and me, No one can steal. This moment is not a result of luck, it is precision. Everything unfolding has been orchestrated by my hand. As a conductor leads a symphony, the people you've encountered recently are not random. The doors that opened were not by chance. The sudden ideas that sparked in your spirit were not mere inspiration, they were nudges from the Holy Spirit. I am aligning every element around you to position you precisely for your appointed time. Just as Esther was brought into the palace not for beauty, but to be a deliverer for her people, so too. You are being placed not for comfort, but for a purpose far beyond yourself. Do not fear the weight of rising responsibility. Do not shrink back when the call begins to demand more from you. It is a sign that you've entered a season of maturity. In this time, I will begin to draw out what I long ago deposited within you. Messages never yet spoken, songs written and shelved, creative ideas left incomplete. I will now bring them forth from the storehouse for the work of my kingdom. Nothing I planted in you will go to waste. You are a treasure, and I know exactly where the gold is buried inside of you. Now I am drawing it out not to showcase, but to nourish the hungry and thirsty. And as this season unfolds, my desire is not only that you receive what I give, but that you sustain it. Many receive blessings but fail to keep them, for they have no root. They do not understand that every gift from me also carries responsibility. Guard your atmosphere. Guard your mind against distraction. Guard your heart against pride when praised by others. Always remember, you are not the center, I am. When I am first, everything else will follow. But if you let the gift replace intimacy, what was once a blessing will become a burden. Do not let what I give eclipse who I am. You have stepped into a season of clarity. What was once blurry is becoming visible. Questions once left hanging, now find answers. Closed doors are swinging open, and none can shut them again. Lands once forbidden are being returned as inheritance. Places that once rejected you will now receive you. But all this is not for you to boast, it is so you can turn words into bread, actions into example, and your life into a map for others seeking truth. Beloved, in this season of unveiling, I want you not only to rejoice in open doors, but to learn to walk through them with feet shod in humility and reverence. Nothing I give comes without accountability. Every fulfilled word is not just confirmation, it is an invitation to go deeper. Don't assume that the presence of harvest means the battle is over. In truth, it is when you begin to receive that the enemy will most strive to steal. As you enter the promised garden, you will need to wield the sickle with both hands owned to gather, and one to guard. Look back at my history with my people. Israel left Egypt in triumph, but to enter the promised land, they had to fight for every inch. Though I had promised, they still had to walk, to confront, to trust at every step. So must you. What I give is real, but to keep it, you must stand firm. Don't let early victories make you careless. Don't assume that anointing makes you immune to falling. The most mightily used are often the most fiercely targeted. So walk with open eyes fixed on my glory, but alert to the snares of the enemy. And child, humility is the most powerful weapon of the chosen. Not applause, not crowds, not numbers will protect you from pride, but the constant awareness that apart from me, you can do nothing. Let every successful day be a song of gratitude. Let every open door be a moment to bow low. Don't trust too quickly the praise of men. Those who cheer today may turn tomorrow, but do not change. My delight is not in results, but in obedience. Whether you stand before thousands or alone in a quiet room, as long as your heart places me at the center, you will never fail. I also want you to know, the harvest is not merely to fulfill your dreams, but to expand spiritual influence. You are not called just to receive, but to become a distributor. What I pour into you is not meant to be stored, but to overflow. Do not hoard the blessing. Open your heart to become a vessel for the thirsty. There are those who do not know how to pray, who no longer dare to dream, who lack strength to rise again, and I will use you as a bridge to bring them back. Remember, most of what I do through you will not happen on stage, but in silence, a quiet prayer, a kind gesture, a moment of unseen patience, all carry eternal weight in my kingdom. You will find yourself invited into weighty conversations, placed in influential spaces, entering environments you once felt unworthy to stand in. Do not be surprised. Do not feel like you've overstepped. I have lifted you not to elevate you, but to lower you further in service. I open the door not so you can show off, but so you can become a living reminder of my faithfulness. Enter with reverence and with courage, for where I send you, I have already prepared the way. Walk in the knowledge that you do not represent yourself, but the one who has commissioned you with eternal purpose. And in this season, I will also increase your wisdom, not human wisdom, but divine discernment from above. You will see what lies behind the veil. You will distinguish the true voice among the multitude of noises. You will know when to speak and when to remain silent. You will know when to move forward and when to wait. This wisdom will not come from books, but from the time you spend alone with me. Every morning you offer up. Every night you converse with me. Every moment you quiet your soul to listen. That is where wisdom will be poured in, and you will need it. For this season requires not only strength, but clarity in every decision. Beloved child, remember this: what I give is not a reward for the victorious, but strength for a new journey. What I open is not the final destination, but a threshold to a deeper realm. I do not merely want to bless you, I long to walk with you. I do not only assign you tasks, I desire to walk beside you. So do not get caught up counting results and forget to keep the fire in your heart. Do not let busy hands cause a cold heart. Keep me at the center of all you do in your meetings, in your words, in the way you treat even the weakest among you. For it is there that true greatness is measured. And if you are faithful in the small things, I will entrust you with greater things. My beloved, when the harvest reaches its fullness, it will not merely produce fruit for you alone, but will begin to spark a wave of influence beyond what you can imagine. The seeds you once sowed will not only grow in your own land, but will begin to take root and branch out into dry and barren soil. I have used you to tend my vineyard, but now I am expanding the borders of that field. No longer confined to a small community, no longer restricted to familiar boundaries, what I have sown in you will spread like a breeze carrying the fragrance of life, like a river overflowing its banks, bringing forth life in places once called wilderness. Remember this: such spreading does not come from your effort, but from the deep well you built in secret. The world may see the light in you, but I see the dark places where you once knelt. Today's fruit is proof of your faithfulness in days when no one was watching. So do not let increase make you forget the beginning. Do not let expansion overshadow your roots. The more you're entrusted with, the more you need to stay near me. The farther you go, the deeper you must anchor in my word. The wider your influence, the more you must learn to live with a humble heart like a true servant. For true glory does not come from the praise of men, but from my presence dwelling in you. You will begin to see not only external shifts, but changes in those around you. Hearts once hardened will begin to soften. Those who once opposed you will start seeking the truth, not because of persuasion, but because my Spirit is moving through you. Know this, not a single life wholly given to me goes without impact. Whether or not you see immediate results, the words you speak in me are seeds. Every word of encouragement, every intercessory prayer, every small act born of reverence carries the power to break invisible chains. You don't need to become influential in the eyes of the world. Be one of spiritual weight in the unseen realm. That is true influence. And as you step into broader places, I will place greater authority upon your shoulders, not to rule as earthly kingdoms do, but to serve as Christ did. I do not measure success by how much you build, but by the depth of love you express. Carry that authority with gentleness. Lead with kindness. Convince not by force, but with sincerity, born from a heart that once was broken. Just as Joseph, when elevated to the highest office in Egypt, chose forgiveness over revenge, chose to store up grain instead of plundering it. So I am positioning you to distribute life not only materially, but spiritually. Child, do not be surprised when those who once rejected you now come seeking your counsel. Do not be confused when doors that were once shut now open and welcome you in. This is not your honor, it is a testament to my name. I have used your life as a signpost, and now many are tracing that path to find the truth. But be watchful. Not everyone who comes near comes with pure intent. Some will come to test your heart, others to seek shortcuts. You must learn to open your heart, yet guard it. Do not let the pull of the crowd dull your discernment. Let my Spirit be the keeper of your heart's garden. This is a season where your words will carry more weight than ever before. And because of that, you must be cautious with every word you speak. Even a passing comment can open or shut doors in the spiritual realm. Let your words be pure streams, untainted. Let your mouth be a holy place, releasing only what builds, heals, and sets free. You no longer speak as the ordinary, because you no longer live as the ordinary. You are a representative of an unshakable kingdom, and all you do reflects that kingdom. Listen, my child, I remind you of this. What I began in you will not stop with you. It will continue to spread, touching future generations, opening paths for those you have never met. Do not live only for today. Live with a vision that reaches beyond your lifetime. The small decisions of today are seeds for your descendants' harvest. The prayers you lift now are a shield for the generation to come. Your faithful steps are drawing a spiritual map for those still groping in the dark. And I, the Lord who never changes, they will watch over every word I have spoken until all is fulfilled in perfect measure. My beloved child, when the harvest reaches its fullness, it does not merely yield fruit for you. Alone, it begins to usher in a wave of influence beyond what you could ever imagine. The seeds you once sowed are not only sprouting in your own land, but they are beginning to take root and branch out into dry and barren places. I have used you as a keeper of my vineyard, but now I am enlarging the boundaries of that land. no longer confined to a small community or familiar borders. The things I have planted within you will spread like a breeze carrying the fragrance of life, like a river overflowing its banks, bringing forth life in places once called desolate. Remember this, such expansion does not come from your own efforts, but from the deep roots you have cultivated in the hidden place. People may see the light in you, but I see the darkened chamber where you once knelt. Today's results are a testament to your faithfulness in the unseen days. Therefore, do not let growth cause you to forget the beginning. Do not let the spreading overshadow the root. The more you are entrusted with, the closer you must remain to me. The further you go, the deeper you must be anchored in my word. The wider your influence, the more you must learn to live with a servant's heart small in your own eyes, but great in love. For true glory is not found in praise, but in my presence dwelling within you. You will begin to see not only the environment around you change, but also the people near you start to shift. Those who were once hard-hearted will soften. Those who resisted will begin to ask about the truth, not because you persuaded them, but because my Spirit is moving through you. Know this, not a single life fully surrendered to me fails to make an impact. Whether you see the immediate fruit or not, your words in me are seeds. Every encouragement, every intercession, every small act born out of reverence carries the power to shatter unseen chains. You don't need to become influential in the eyes of the world. Be one of spiritual weight in the unseen realm. That is true influence. And as you step into broader spaces, I will place a greater authority upon your shoulders, not to rule as earthly kingdoms do, but to serve as Christ did. I do not measure success by the quantity of what you build, but by the depth of love you embody. Carry that authority with gentleness. Lead with kindness. Convince not by force, but by sincerity flowing from a heart that has once been broken, like Joseph, who, after being raised to power in Egypt, chose forgiveness over vengeance and became a keeper of grain instead of a taker. I too am placing you in position to dispense life not just physical, but spiritual. My child, do not be surprised when those who once rejected you now return seeking your counsel. Do not be confused when doors once tightly shut now swing wide open. This is not your glory, it is my name being confirmed. I have used your very life as a signpost, and now many are following its trail back to the truth. But be wise, not everyone who draws near comes with pure intent. Some will come to test your heart, others to seek shortcuts. You must learn to keep your heart open, yet guarded. Do not let the pull of the crowd dull your discernment. Let my Spirit be the keeper of your inner garden. This is the season where your words will carry more weight than ever. For that reason, be careful with every utterance. Even a seemingly idle phrase can open or close doors in the spirit realm. Let your speech be a clean spring, untainted. Let your mouth be a sacred space from which only what is edifying, life-giving, and freeing flows. You no longer speak as mere men do, for you no longer live as mere men. You are a representative of a kingdom that cannot be shaken, and everything you do reflects that kingdom. My dear one, what I began in you does not end with you. It will continue to spread, reaching generations to come, making way for people you have never met. Do not live just for today. Live with a vision that stretches beyond your lifetime. The small decisions you make now are seeds for your children's harvest. The prayers you lift today are a hedge for the next generation. Your faithful steps are drawing a spiritual map for those still wandering in the dark. And I, the unchanging God, will watch over every word I have spoken until all is fully fulfilled. You are entering the most sacred phase of the journey I have prepared for you. It is no longer just a season of sowing, nor merely of harvesting, but a time when I am drawing you into full alignment with your eternal destiny. This is the time when it's no longer about what you can do, but about who you have become in me. The years of training, the seasons of endurance, the days that once seemed meaningless all have prepared the way for you to be shaped into the image of the living one. And now, you are not merely a bearer of life, but a living illustration of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. That is my purpose, that through you, the world might catch a glimpse of the eternal within the temporary. I have placed within your soul the imprint of eternity. There are things you will not be able to explain with words, for they come from the limitless. When I call you to walk by faith, it is not only to receive blessing, but to live as a citizen of heaven in the midst of the earth. You no longer move by emotion, but by the principles of my kingdom, no longer chasing fleeting rewards, but enduring for an imperishable crown. As the Apostle Paul said, I run not like someone running aimlessly, I fight not like one beating the air. And now, you too are called to walk with clarity unshaken by the tides of this world. For you are rooted in a foundation that cannot be moved. Do not measure your life by the short span of time. See it as part of the design of eternity. I am not training you just to live well for a few years. I am preparing you for the eternal. Every lesson in patience, every act of surrender, every moment of forgiveness not only beautifies a season, but equips your soul for a life beyond this world. You are not a passive soul waiting for heaven. You are one who is bringing heaven to earth. And that is why I do not let you remain in comfort. I continue to challenge you, to pull you higher, because I know well that your potential is not limited by age, qualification, or circumstance. You are living in an age where the boundary between light and darkness is becoming unmistakably clear. This is no longer the time to live halfway. This is the time for the chosen to arisen not merely in words, but in essence. The world doesn't need another sermon. It needs a life that manifests truth. It needs to witness someone who still loves in the midst of hate, who stands firm in the chaos, who continues to worship even when everything seems to fall apart. And you are that person, not because you are great, but because I am great within you, not because you endure well, but because my spirit in you has refined you like gold through fire. Your presence, when placed rightly, will shift the atmosphere. You do not need to shout to make an impact. If you are there full of life, full of grace, full of true thievery, darkness will begin to recede, like salt permeating food, like light dispelling the night. Your presence will dismantle unseen structures of doubt, fear, and deception. I am placing you as a pillar in the environments you inhabit, not so that you may be elevated, but that you may become a refuge for wavering souls. When you hold your ground, others will begin to reorient their lives. You do not need to force outcomes. Simply live in union with me, and the fruit will come forth on its own. My child, do not think that you are at the end of the road. This is merely the beginning of a new dimension. What I have done was just the foundation. What I am about to do will astonish you. I will reveal more of myself, of you, and of the role you carry in the vast framework of my eternal plan. You will look back and realize not a single tear was wasted, not a wound without purpose, not a prayer fell into the void. All of it has reached the borders of eternity. Every simple plea in the dark has become incense before my throne, and they are preparing to usher in a season you have never walked through before. Be ready. Put on the armor of light. Gird yourself with truth. Take up the sword of the Spirit. Wear the helmet of salvation and stand firm, not just for defense, but for advancement. For my kingdom does not retreat, and you were not called to hide, but to shine. Everything you've been through is now a tool to open eternal doors for others. And I, who began a good work in you, will bring it to completion, not through your effort, but by my power. Enter this final stretch with certainty. For what I have spoken, I will fulfill, my beloved child. Now that you have been placed upon the foundation of eternity, I begin to teach you to walk not only as one who is saved, but as one who is sent, no longer a wanderer seeking direction. You are now a bearer of light for others. You are no longer living with the mindset of one who simply receives, but as one who has been commissioned. You are an ambassador of an unshakable kingdom, carrying the seal of the one who rules heaven and earth. Act not as one exalted by title, but as one marked by the scars within. Every step you take bears the imprint of authority. Every small act, done in me, causes tremors in the spiritual realm. This is the hour in which I awaken in you a vision higher than anything you've ever imagined. The dreams I planted in your heart since childhood will begin to stir not as longings, but in clear form, matured and weighted with fulfillment. I once showed you great things, and you thought they were metaphors. Now I tell you plainly, they were real invitations, not for dreaming, but for doing. The great things I sowed in your spirit were never beyond your strength, for I myself am your strength. I never call you to a task without walking beside you, instructing you, and upholding you. You will find that in this season, the ordinary will begin to carry the supernatural. A simple conversation will spark repentance. A short testimony will break chains in someone's heart. A small act of love will become a beam of light that shatters lifelong darkness. Not because you are extraordinary, but because you have become a clean vessel for me to flow through. I do not need complexity. I need surrender. You do not need perfection. You need faithfulness. And because you said yes in seasons where others gave up, I will now reward you not with silver or gold, but with souls saved, lives restored, and a generation rekindled. And my child, in this final season, I am not only placing weapons in your hand for battle, I am placing a crown upon your head, not a crown for adornment, but a crown to establish your place among the set apart. It is the crown of righteousness, reserved for those who have fought faithfully. It is not merely a symbol of worth, but proof that you have overcome no for yourself, but for me. This crown is a sign recognized by the darkness. The enemy knows who wears it. Angels recognize those who bear it. And I myself will present it not in silence, but in the glory of heaven. But I warn you, wear the crown with humility. For the one who bears the true crown once knelt to wash the feet of a betrayer. Do not let the crown make you think you are above others. Let it remind you, you were saved to serve. You were lifted up to bow low. You were equipped not to build a personal kingdom, but to expand mine. Therefore, never take your eyes off the throne. Do not gaze so long at the crown that you forget my gaze, for it is in my eyes that you will know whether you are still on course or have strayed of. That gaze is the only compass you can trust in this age of deception. You will also find yourself entering places you once only dreamed of. Doors that were shut will open without your knocking. People who once dismissed you will now listen, not because of your fame, but because you bear my name. But do not mistake worldly acceptance for heavenly approval. Remember, there are places I allow you to pass through, but not dwell in. There are people you may meet, but not form deep alliances with. You must discern between what is a moment and what is a calling, and you will only know this if you keep your heart tender in prayer. My child, your ultimate mission is not to be seen, but to illuminate, not to be praised, but to awaken. You are a keeper of the lamp in a world covered in night. Do not let that flame go out because of weariness, distraction, or the whisper of the enemy. Refill the oil daily with my word. Keep your heart burning through praise. Walk through the night as one who carries the dawn within. And when morning comes, the world will know someone stayed awake in the darkness so they could see the light when it rose. Know this, I am preparing for the greatest reunion, the day when every knee will bow, every tongue confess that I am Lord, the day when every tear will be wiped away, every battle will cease, and every burden will be laid down. That day is drawing near, and you are one I am using to prepare the way for my glorious return. So then, keep walking, keep shining, keep loving, keep forgiving, keep trusting, for when the final trumpet sounds, you will not regret living for what was eternal. You will rejoice that you lived for what never fades. And now, as you complete this journey of training, maturity, and obedience, I speak to you with the voice of completion. Everything I began in you will not remain unfinished. Every word I planted in your heart will not return void. Every season you endured, from the quiet to the storm, from sowing to reaping, from brokenness to restoration, has been etched by me onto every page of your eternal book. And today, I turn the final page of this chapter not to close it, but to open a new one in eternity. For where fullness is, that is where greater glory begins. Listen, my child, for the sound of the final trumpet is echoing through the spiritual realm. It is not a trumpet of death, but a call to revival, not a farewell, but a welcome into glory. I am not calling you into passive rest, but into sacred partnership with heaven. You no longer fight alone now. A host of angels surrounds you. Forgotten souls are being awakened through your quiet obedience. Barren places are bursting with living streams because you dared to walk in the dark. Hearts once closed are now opening. For the light within you can no longer be hidden. You were taught to live as one who bears a lamp in the night. Now, I place upon your shoulders the mantle of a herald, not a proclaimer of mere words, but of a life refined by fire and yet not consumed. I have used your brokenness to teach others how to be healed. I have used your tears to soften the parched soil of other souls. And now, I will use your voice as a golden trumpet to awaken the final generation. My child, sound the trumpet. Speak what I have whispered to you in the secret place. Fear not rejection. Fear not the scrutinizing gaze. For not all will listen, but those who are mine will recognize the call. This is the hour I am gathering the faithful. As in the days of Elijah, when you believed you were alone, Yet I had preserved 7,000 who had not bowed to Baal, and you are among them. Now I am uniting the scattered members of my kingdom. A holy unity is forming. A sacred army is rising, not armed with weapons of men, but with praise, with prayer, and with obedience, not bearing the banners of this world, but sealed with the mark of the Lamb's blood. And you, O watchman of the night, shall be the one to beat the drum that clears the way for the final procession into glory. Lift up your eyes, for the one you have waited for is not far off. He comes on the clouds of glory, with a light that no darkness can extinguish. The voice like many waters is preparing to thunder. Well done, good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of your master. And there, where there are no more tears, no more death, no more battles, you will see the reward beyond all measure, not a crown of gold, but the loving gaze of the one who loved you before you ever loved him. Not a lofty throne, but his heart where you will find rest forever. Not fame before men, but the chorus of heaven erupting in joy as a child returns home. Your life has not been in vain. Every hidden effort, every denial of self, every lonely step through doubt has risen as a fragrant offering before me. Now, lift your head, stand firm, for the season of waiting is over. The season of affirmation has come. You will no longer need to seek recognition from men, for I myself will declare you before angels in the heavens. You are my child of light, child of promise, child of power, and whoever touches you touches the apple of my eye. I will protect you. I will go before you. I will place you in places you never dared to dream, not for your exaltation, but for my glory. Now, my child, the curtain falls on the trial, but rises on my glorious presence. This is where I give you not just vision, but the full union of vision and reality. This is where promises leave the page and take on flesh in your life. This is where I reach out and take your hand, not in symbol, but in truth. Step in. Do not hesitate. Do not look back. Do not say, I am not worthy, for my blood has made you worthy, and before my throne, no accusation can stand against you. Every chain of the past is shattered in the light of eternity. And as you cross this threshold, know this is not the end of a mission, but the eternal unfolding of a transformed life. You will no longer think with the limitations of the flesh. You will walk as one carried by the wind of the Spirit. Every word you speak will carry the force of creation. Every act you take will shake the invisible world. You will no longer walk alone. You walk among the host of heaven, and heaven will sing with you. For I declare, all is ready. The wedding supper of the Lamb has been prepared. The lamps are lit. The thunder of heaven waits for the chosen, and the cry rings out, Behold, the bridegroom is coming. Be swift. My child, let not your oil run dry. Let not your fire go out. Let not delay rob you of eternal reward. For the time has come. And you are part of a glory that will never pass away. Thank you for listening to today's message. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so together we may receive the living word. Build unshakable faith and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.